welcome to this new episode of Elindos Records. A lot has been happening in the past weeks while I was working on the Away Teams features, and I released a few interesting screens through our Discord server, and also some even more interesting, possibly, information about your characters and how they are trained and leveled up in EXODE. So today is the day I can share more information about this and also make this a bit more public than just speaking and exchanging feedback on Discord. And while doing that, I wanted also to thank you all for watching, for listening, for participating to our alpha. And if you are not yet an EXODE captain, don't worry, there will be links below to do that. But mainly I wanted to tell you be welcome, and let's begin now. It's first to share a reminder about a few things in EXODE and in blockchain gaming. As you know, EXODE is a way for you to acquire packs, open them, and get some cards. And these cards make your collection. And this collection of cards on every single card can be traded. You can trade it with other players, and things have already taken a lot of value in EXODE. But there is also a second part. When you launch a new game in EXODE, you actually generate new assets. Your cards are set up in a step that we call the deck construction, and you customize your game this way. This means that every single card helps you to define new game options. And since a game of EXODE can last for hours or weeks or months even, then you know that it will be very long to discover every part of everything that is allowed with the cards. Moreover, the generated characters are also unique, which means that the same card played in another game will generate another character. It will define the character template, but the character himself or herself will be very different with every game. So, when you set up your new game in this step called deck construction, you press the launch button and then you start a new game. Characters are then generated and can be reviewed by the player. And then you begin the evacuation process. So I call that a process as if it will be some kind of safe travel, but it is not a safe travel. During evacuation, your crew members will be shot or your ship will be damaged, and you will quite possibly abandon a few people on Starbase, which means that you lose some of your generated characters. And then you'll get to your new planet, and even there, EXODE will be generous with you by generating a new unique planet as your new playground. So I wanted to explain to captains that this means there are two parts in EXODE. The first part is the first ownership you get with your cards and your packs that you can trade away. The second part is made of assets which are generated during the game. And these assets are the core part of what will be refined in EXODE Play to Earn, which means that these assets are generated when playing, and they can be improved while playing. And some part of how you improve your assets will be discussed a bit here in this recording. So there is ownership, and there are generated assets. And we have two kind of policies with that. About ownership, we are very conservative, which means that we want you to gain sure and safe valuation by the normal rules and very identified rules of supply and demand, which means that the more interesting the game gets and the more people we bring, the more value your cards also get. But for the generated assets part, we have a more dynamic approach, which means that we will check constantly game balance and improvements and features that we will deploy inside the game loop, which means that your generated assets may evolve and change. Also, as you may know already, your generated assets are characters or buildings. Characters can be lost and buildings can be damaged. The entire purpose of your crew members, your ship, is to give you, of course, a fun space adventure in EXODE. You'll also notice that EXODE is truly a game at its core, but also to allow you to reach better rankings and better rewards, which are called legacy rewards, and are rewarded at the end of a game in a real season of EXODE. Legacy rewards can also give you new cards to your collection and several upgrades to every card that participated into your last game. So legacy rewards will be something people will highly look for and will be very interested into. So this means that the entire playthrough process is not only to enjoy a fun space adventure, but also to improve the rewards you will get. But before you end the game in a real season of EXODE, and before we get to the real seasons, we continue with alpha testing. And the good news here is that in the next features that will be released about away teams, you will already discover some new features about your characters thanks to their training and their perks. Welcome back, Captain. So I wanted here to give some kind of zoom in to some of our away team features, but also rest assured we'll get back to these features also a bit later when away teams are deployed. So the first screen that was shared in this quick overview was the select mission screen. This is a new step. First of all, you notice some kind of upgrade regarding the presentation aspect of EXODE, because since we improved our website in September, we have also decided to follow the same presentation guidelines when setting up our next screens. The new select mission screen is entirely responsive and allow you to set up the engagement rules in your game. The first line here says safe analysis. Analyze the risks and come back if anything seems too dangerous. In this case, you are choosing to preserve your team to the best of your ability. You will tell them to just try to analyze the dangers that are on your planet. But the other steps, the mission objective that you can choose, should put your team a bit more at risk, but also bring you more rewards. So it is really a reward versus risk situation here. The first contact aims at discovering a new life form. Explore sector really tries to do everything they can do when exploring the new sector, which means that they'll get there until they encounter something really deadly, which means they could be dead at that step. But if you have a good team and it is well set up, it may also be something that will reward you with more assets. The exploit and collect is more aimed towards sectors you already know and risks you have already identified, which means that you really want to get the best of the sector, which means the best assets on the most things. The set camp is something very special. You can also decide to, when you send an away team, it will travel to the sector and then start exploiting and collecting stuff. But if you have a camp setup, the next teams that come will have a quicker process. We have less time required to gather and collect assets. And now we are getting to the most interesting part in terms of game design in EXODE. So captains have been playing EXODE for some time now, and when they played, they see a lot of information on their characters. They see their characters have a personality, have a background, they have skills, and some are major skills, some are minor skills, and they have different values, and they have investigation points to upgrade some skills before they start the game. So this is a lot of information, a lot of interactivity that is provided by EXODE, but EXODE always lacked, I can say that, it is good to admit some challenges in a game design. EXODE has always been challenged by the way it wanted to share you more information about your characters. There was serious cases of information overload in EXODE, and it was always difficult to acknowledge and understand the skills which are available in EXODE and where they are used. That is the reason why I am very happy, I can say, with the way EXODE has now refined the details of the character design. This means that with this new screen, you will understand on a quick glance on what your character is good at, and you will also get to really have a feeling of how characters compare with each other. This is all thanks to a new design that really streamlined the number of skills without dumbing it down, and even allowed us to go deeper, really deeper, and to give features that are more immersive, that provide more uniqueness, and are more fun, I would say, and can also give you a lot more things to play with on your characters. So this is really an excellent milestone that EXODE reached in terms of its design here. I really want to insist on that. And I hope people did not stop the video before. Of course they would not see this, but thank you for getting up to this step and really understanding what is important here. We are getting the real next step in terms of quality in our skills and presentation here. And thanks to that, we are also getting to the next step of control, the control given to the players. And it was very important that players could understand skills, because skills are a main part of what you have to control to make sure a character survive, or to understand when there is an event and the event is solved by a character, to see why this character has done that, or if he or she was really lucky and you don't want to try that again. This is really the relationship you will have with how a character can be different with another character. So the idea here was to share information about the 4 affinities of your character, which are physical, which is here, physical affinity, academic affinity, You can also call that scientific affinity, but it is academic affinity, which are the skills which are trained at the Space Academy. And here you have the social affinity, and here the mental affinity. Some players may, for now, not really understand the difference between social and mental. And thanks to the screens, you will also see all skills which are related to these domains. So, the affinity scores are determined thanks to your character template, which is a bit like your character class. When you choose a card, for instance, when you pick a space bioscientist, this means that your character that will be generated will be of the space bioscientist class. It is really like a character class because it will determine the chances for him or her to roll a high affinity there, but also the scores in the various scales that this character may have. So let's get back to these 4 affinities. Every affinity here is displayed on this screen with 9 skills. So this means you will have 9 physical skills displayed here, 9 academic skills, 9 social, and 9 mental skills. Which means that we were able to display to you 36 skills on 4 affinities in full view and in clear view. And you will also have a clear view on the values your character has here. With one little thing as an exception to that. As you know, in EXODE, you discover the skills of the characters. We will have to make a decision about what is known and what is yet to discover about your characters during the real gameplay. And you may have access to a bit more information during testing already. Another thing that is happening now is a major decision about one of the new aspects of your characters, which we call perks and flaws. There is a little star on this character sheet here, and this star is actually a perk. A perk is an in-game ability that automatically triggers. It may be a character that has some kind of deep pockets perk, which allows him or her to have 2 ammo slots instead of 1. Or it can be other abilities which allow him to be more accurate when shooting with a pistol, for instance. So there could be perks related to certain conditions, certain gameplay conditions. And perks will be very fun to discover in your characters, so for that reason we are quite possibly deciding to give to your currently generated characters some existing perks, which means that they will already have some of them. New perks could be acquired during training, but mostly we also revealed that your characters will be able to train into the role they will practice. But you will see more about training and leveling in the next steps.